Hello and welcome to Bears TV. I'm here with Bears team manager and co-promoter Jade Mudgway. Jade, how are you?
We're good, thank you.
So, I've got a few questions, same again as last time. We had some great questions come in from you fans, couldn't choose them all. I've got a few of my own and we're going to go as we went last time. So, does being a younger team manager and a former rider have any advantages in any way?
I definitely think it has its advantages being a former rider that's ridden in the modern era. I'd say there's probably not that many out there that have ridden in the modern era and understand the bikes and understand what they're capable of. And the sport now has become such a head game as well. I think that can help. I've also ridden with a few of the riders that can sometimes be a hindrance and sometimes be a help. I know a lot of the tracks, things like that. I don't say I've reached my potential or was that spectacular of a rider, but I think it definitely helps.
Do you think you can help the younger riders more as our reserves for next season because of your recent experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think our young riders have got so much potential, and I think we've all, as riders, been in the point where they're at, trying to break through, trying to make themselves into the main body of the team. And I think it helps to have been at that point and know what they're going through, know the money troubles and know the stresses of being at that point, and being able to settle some of that.
Okay, thank you. Well, a question from Brady Mudgway. Brady's asked, not sure if it's any relation,
Yes,
sure it is.
brother.
Your brother, there we go. What has been the most memorable moment throughout your time in Speedway, riding, managing, etc.?
There's not really one moment that sort of sticks in my mind. There's a lot of memories. I really enjoyed my time racing. A lot of travelling with my family was probably the best part of that, around New Zealand, and just the bond we had with family racing. The other bits are probably the New Zealand Championship when I rode it at my home track. I had one of my worst nights ever the night before and I had one of the best days ever the next day. Just things like that, and Ivan Major came to Berwick and watched one of my meetings there. That was a big highlight for me. And obviously, the KO Cup last year was massive. So yeah, to bring some silverware to Redcar after being here for 12 years now, making it my home, it was a big deal.
When you took over as the manager, did you dream that we could have the success we had as a team and individually last season with Eric winning the Championship Riders and Charles winning the British title?
Absolutely. That's the only thing we came here to do. We came here to be a winning team, especially myself. I wasn't here to come second. I wasn't here to lose. We were here to win. We weren't here just to run a club. Being a successful club is a happy club. The one thing fans look for is to win. If you're not winning and everybody's happy, then there's something weird going on. Everyone's only ever happy when you're winning. So that's what you've got to do. As for Eric and Charles, the British Championship, I knew Charles could do it. I mean, he was absolutely flying that year and he's an absolutely quality rider. I knew Eric could do it that day as well, at the Championship, Riders Championship. They're just brilliant riders, and I mean, to watch them on the bike, they put everything into it, and that's what you want, that commitment.
In that respect, does it make you more motivated for next season that we agonisingly lost out at Leicester?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe if we'd gone through to win the league, we might be slightly less determined. That's probably a bad word to say, less determined, but I definitely think it'll give us something. But that was a rough night, but it'll definitely give us something to build upon. You learn from your defeats more than you learn from your wins, so we can learn from that and we can go forward.
Well, I was there and I seen how much it meant to the riders. Eric didn't even come out to see the fans because he was so distraught with how the last heat had went.
Yeah, well, see, that the last heat was a hard one, but a last heat doesn't make a 30 race format. There was a couple of points where I felt we let that slip, but that wasn't from the riders not putting in the effort. That was just from how racing goes. It's a hard sport, and these things happen. So.
That's fair enough. We had a question from Graham Porter. Graham asked, how have we let Elliott Kelly, who's now signed as an asset for Kings Lynn, go and sign for Kings Lynn when he's a local lad?
Well, that actually, I'll start from the beginning. The time really to sign Elliott as an asset would have been right before he signed for Mildenhall, just after he'd finished his time with the Cubs.
Yeah.
But we had no promotion here at that time. That was just as Kev K was stepping down and we were stepping in. And by the time we'd stepped in, he was an asset of Mildenhall.
Okay.
We would have to pay a training fee to Mildenhall to become an asset, and I was actually looking into that halfway through that season. I hadn't spoken to Elliott yet, but Elliott seemed to have lost the connection with Redcar. He didn't seem terribly interested. I hadn't spoken to him about being an asset, and none of his management had spoken to Redcar about becoming an asset. So we just let him get on with his riding. I think it'll do him good being an asset of Kings Lynn. From a promotion point of view, I think from a personal point of view, I always felt, and myself as a rider, I was asked to sign for a club before when I was in the Conference League as it was then.
Now National League.
Yeah, now National League. But then you lose your bargaining chip, so to speak, of getting into a championship team. And it's very hard to get into a championship team if you're not going to become their asset, especially at reserve level. So I think maybe they've missed a bit of a trick there, but maybe they've got something in the pipeline to get him into a championship team. I certainly think if he becomes the rider that he has the potential to be, then he'd be certainly welcome at Redcar. He's a good rider and he's getting on with it. So wish him all the best.
We'll see how that one plays out. At any point during the famous Knockout Cup second leg, did you feel it was slipping away from us at any point?
I felt in a couple of races that we let things go that we maybe shouldn't have. But that's racing. Not every single race goes your way. You can't let that dampen down your spirits from the whole meeting, otherwise then it does slip away from you. I had the confidence in our riders that they were going to get the job done. I mean, they're a massive group of riders and really determined, and they knew what that meant. I mean, the Redcar fans were twice as loud as the Newcastle fans at Newcastle. There was no way they were going to beat us, was it? And
did it help in a way having a former rider who knows what it means to the club in Ben Barker as the guest on that evening for Michael Pantoft?
Yeah, I think we'd have had more from Michael than what we got from Ben, but that's racing. Michael was still in the pit, so he was still part of the team. So I think we'd possibly, but I think we'd have been better off with Tofty.
So we've had a couple of questions from Stuart Bell. We've just chose the one, Stuart. After the lockdown and most riders not riding in 2020, will we be starting earlier than normal to ensure the lads are fit? And will we be having a couple more challenge meetings before the league starts?
It's a good question. We haven't come to that point yet. I definitely think it's a good idea, but a lot of our riders will be riding. I think Eric will probably do some riding in Australia, like he did last season. I think it's a good idea and definitely to be race ready. So we'll see how that goes.
And Jordan will be, I'm assuming, riding in Australia as well. Yeah. So, in my opinion, our main strength for the 2021 Septet is our strength in depth. What do you think our biggest strength is?
I think our biggest strength is bringing the majority of the team through from last year. We've already got that camaraderie. We've already got that friendship and that determination to win for each other. The whole team wants to win for the club. We're not just a team of riders. We're a team. We're together. And I think since myself and Ben and now Jamie have come in, we've joined the riders and the team with the fans. We're all one group heading in one direction. That's what it takes to win. And I think bringing last year's team forward, or the previous team forward, is definitely going to improve that and build on it again. And I think that's what will bring us through the playoffs next year.
Is the difference of having that team spirit, as you mentioned, immeasurable?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think Gary Havelock said you never saw a team with no team spirit win the league, have you? It definitely makes a difference. And all those riders don't have to be the same rider or ride exactly the same, but they all have to have the same goal, and that's to win. We said right from the start that that's our goal, and they knew what we were here for. We weren't happy in Leicester win, so we weren't particularly happy at the end of last year when we lost in the playoffs, because I thought we were the better team. But that's how it goes, and we all know where we're going, and that's the main thing.
We've had a question in from a gentleman who doesn't wish to be named, but he did send a couple of good questions in. So, is it possible for us to invest in an electronic scoreboard with race times, etc.?
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye out for that for a couple of years now. It's waiting for one to come up. They're really expensive, and finding one, I would preferably find one that's been pre-used and ready to go, because I think that also holds back new fans coming into the sport, because anybody that walks into Redcar Speedway has to learn how to fill out a program, how the program works, how the scoring system works. If we've got a scoreboard and a 2-minute board already on the centre green, you can walk up and you know the Bears are already winning, because that's what we do. And you know how many they're winning by and what you score each race, and then you can immediately get into the sport and back your team. Whereas if you just come in and see 4 riders going around in circles and you've never seen a program before, it could become less appealing. Yeah, the Redcar Bears don't mean anything to you. So I think that would definitely be a way of bringing new fans in, but it's just waiting for one to come up. They're very expensive.
I understand that. As well, also, it'll be more fans will be able to access this, because I stand next to a couple of fans on the near the terracing who are deaf and dumb, and they can't hear what's going on, so they'll be able to see.
Yeah.
So it's that accessing more people in the stadium, basically.
It's definitely an advantage, and definitely something we want to get on top of, because I think there's potential there.
As a team manager, do you approach every meeting the same, or do you approach them in a different manner, i.e. home meetings and away meetings?
With last year's team, I approached them all exactly the same way, because when we went to a home meeting or an away meeting, there was an equal chance we were going to win, in our opinion as a team. The year before, when I became manager, I did approach away meetings slightly differently, because I thought we needed to boost the away spirit a little bit, to go there with the already thinking of the intention that we could win or get points. So I think things definitely change, and I think that changes depending on which team you've got.
Fair enough. Another question from the gentleman from the last question. He has asked, is this year's promoters conference going to happen, and if so, how will it take place?
It will happen one way or another, whether or not that's one promoter from each club, or whether or not it's a Zoom meeting or however, but yes, there'll be something.
Okay, right. Were you surprised by how well the top 5 who have rejoined for 2021 gelled last year, especially as 2 of them only joined midway through the season?
Not really. Like I said earlier, that determination for each and every one of them to win automatically brings them together, and they know they're working towards the same goal. So that helps them gel. We all know that if we work together and you help your teammate score more points, there's more chance you're going to win. So it's automatic for the group of riders we've got together.
How important is it when you sign a rider that obviously is a good rider, but that he can be an asset to the team on and off the track in the pits as well? How important is that to you?
Definitely. It's definitely a big part. Scoring points at the end of the day is what makes the team win. But if you can help your teammates score points, then you're doubly as attractive, aren't you? So it's definitely a big part.
We had a question from the Redcar Bear. This is from the last Q&A, but Ben decided to put this one over to you. Who decides who goes on the Speedway on Teesside Roll of Honour, and can the fans vote?
At the moment, no, there's not a voting system for fans, but they can certainly put it towards me, and we'll all make a decision together. I suppose I'm taking charge of that side of things, but it will be a joint venture. It won't be my making the decision myself, but no, I'm certainly open to fans putting their suggestions towards me.
Fantastic. Are you happy with the new rule that was supposed to be in place this year for a team who has no facility for a rider now being, instead of bringing a junior rider in, they're now allowed to bring a rider in who's 2.5 points lower than the rider in the team?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to have good racing on track and competitive teams, and it's no good for the sport if we go making teams uncompetitive and penalising fans for things that riders can't be available.
Right, that is all. I hope you have enjoyed this segment of Bears TV, another Q&A. Thank you very much, Jade, for your time, and thank you.